Now, hello everyone, this time is due to dissect the neck. Part 1, the lateral region and the root of neck. These are some surface marks of neck. For example, this is a laryngeal prominence, a structure of the thyroid gland, thyroid cartilage. These are soft tissue marks, the sternocleidomastoid. The lateral region of neck is this region. It's from the posterior border of sternocleidomastoid, anterior border of trapezius, and upper border of clavicle. This neck is divided into two triangles by this inferior belly of omohyoid. Upper triangle is occipital triangle. Lower one is supraclavicular triangle, or supraclavicular fossa. The first is occipital triangle. The three boundaries is posterior border of sternocleidomastoid, anterior border of the trapezius, and the lower belly or inferior belly of omohyoid. Inside this triangle, the most important structure is this accessory nerve. Beside it, there are some cutaneous nerves of brachioplexus and some branches from the brachioplexus and the lymph nodes. This accessory nerve from the surface landmark is from this point to this point. Now, look at this point is the upper 1/3 and the middle 1/3 junction of sternocleidomastoid. And this point is about middle 1/3 and inferior 1/3 junction of the trapezius. This is a surface projection. This nerve distributed two muscles, sternocleidomastoid and the trapezius, control two muscles. And in this triangle here, there's a point, is a block point. That's four cutaneous branches from the cervical nerves. Now next, this triangle is supraclavicular fossa, or supraclavicular triangle. You can observe your fossa by yourself here. Now the boundary is the posterior border, lower part of the sternocleidomastoid, upper border of the clavicle, and the inferior belly of omohyoid. Now in this fossa, we can see a lot of muscles and nerves. They are big structures. The contents prenic nerve, subclavian vein, subclavian artery, brachioplexus, and in the right side, there is a right lymphatic duct, left side, the thoracic duct, and the cupula of pleura. Here, I will introduce them simply. This one, phrenic nerve, here is picture, let me see. This one is a phrenic nerve, this one is a vagus nerve. Phrenic nerve is on the surface of the scalenus anterior. Then it passes between these two large vessels into the thoracic cavity. Finally, it reaches the diaphragm, supply the diaphragm. But during its course, it sends off the branches to the pleura. Subclavian vein, interjugular vein, they join to form the brachiocephalic vein. This vein and this artery, notice the different position. The vein is in front of this muscle, scalenus anterior, but the artery is behind this muscle. It's different. This is the puncture point of the subclavian vein. Usually is below the clavicle, here. Brachioplexus is big nervous plexus. It's formed from C5 to T1 nerve. Then at the beginning, it formed three trunks: superior trunk, middle trunk, and inferior trunk. Superior from C5, C6, middle from C7, inferior from C8 and T1. Then each trunk divided into two divisions: upper trunk, anterior division, posterior division; middle trunk, anterior division, posterior division; lower trunk, anterior division, posterior division. Then these divisions continue to fuse three cords, lateral, medial, and posterior cord. lateral cord, medial cord. Now here, lateral cord, medial cord, and posterior cord. Lateral cord is from two anterior divisions of upper trunk and middle trunk. Medial cord is from the anterior division of the lower trunk, and the posterior cord is from three posterior divisions. Okay, this is brachial plexus is very big, from this scalene fissure then to the axilla. Then its branch is very rich distributed to the upper limb. This is subclavian artery. Subclavian artery go here. Then lower is axillary artery. This is a boundary. Now look at this muscle. It's a very important muscle in the neck. This is a scalenus anterior. This artery, subclavian artery, is divided into 1, 2, 3 parts by this scalenus anterior. This is the stop the bleeding of the subclavian artery. So look at its press subclavian artery from the center of the supraclavicular fossa. Here. This green color, they are lymphatic vessels. Thoracic duct and right lymphatic duct. This one is the thoracic duct. Now this very small, this one is the right lymphatic duct. Thoracic duct, another name is left lymphatic duct. So these two ducts finally enter the vein, but from here, venous angle, right and left venous angle. Venous angle is formed by this internal jugular vein and subclavian vein. And then each duct collects some trunks. This duct collects 3 trunks: jugular trunk, occipital trunk, subclavian trunk, and the bronchial mediastinal trunk. And this one will collect the 6 trunks. Besides these 3 trunks, there are another 3 trunks. This is the lymph drainage. Scalene fissure is here. Green muscles, they are scalenus anterior, scalenus medius, then the first rib here. So between the 3 structures, here there's a fissure, it's scalene fissure. Inside scalene fissure is 1, 2 structures, brachial plexus and this subclavian artery. There is a syndrome here. If this syndrome happens here, it will press these 2 structures. This time we will expose the structures of lateral cervical region and the root of neck. We will expose some muscles, vessels, and nerves of these 2 regions. For example, the accessory nerve, cervical plexus, and the scalenus anterior, brachial plexus, subclavian artery, and the prenic nerve. The sternocleidomastoid, the posterior border of this muscle, anterior border of trapezius, and upper border of clavicle. This region is the lateral region of neck, or posterior triangle of neck. Between the anterior border and the posterior border of sternocleidomastoid, this region is the sternocleidomastoid region. This is two different regions of neck. Deep to it, you can see some vessels and nerves. The lower part is the root of neck. This is the accessory nerve, the branch to the sternocleidomastoid, distributed to it. Another branch continues downward. At this point, enter the trapezius. Now, about this point is the middle 1/3 and lower 1/3 of anterior border of trapezius. This junction, this nerve, enter deep, goes deep to the trapezius, then distribute to this muscle. So the surgery of this region protects this accessory nerve branch. We can observe some lymph nodes around the accessory nerve. So in the surgery, to clean these lymph nodes, remove these lymph nodes, protect the upper part of accessory nerve. Now cut the origination of pectoralis major. Pectoralis major. Then cut the deltoid. Then cut the trapezius. These three muscles insert to clavicle. Open this joint. This is the joint between the sternum and the clavicle, sternoclavicular joint. This muscle is the subclavius. It originates from the upper surface of first rib, then to the inferior surface of the clavicle. Shear of it. Then put the clavicle upper. We can expose these structures. Clean some veins here. This is the upper surface of the first rib. Then look at this vein, subclavian vein, internal jugular vein. Then together, brachiocephalic vein. External jugular vein. Enter the subclavian vein. There's another transverse cervical vein. Suprascapular vein. Between internal jugular vein and subclavian vein, this angle is venous angle. There is lymph enter here. Because this is a lymphatic trunk. This trunk is from the thoracic cavity. This one is bronchial mediastinal trunk. Lymphatic trunk. This one is from the upper limb, subclavian trunk. This one from the neck, cervical trunk. This right side, three trunks together is one duct, right lymphatic duct, very short, right lymphatic duct. Then open into this right venous angle, This is left side, left internal jugular vein, left subclavian vein, and this angle is left venous angle, brachiocephalic vein, left common carotid artery, vagus nerve. And deep to down, we can see this is the subclavian artery. This is the esophagus. Okay, this one, thoracic duct. Another name is left lymphatic duct, thoracic duct. Pass behind this common carotid artery, behind, okay, continue, behind the internal jugular vein, finally open into this left venous angle. So lymph finally enters the vein. Clean this fissure, pre-vertebral fissure. This is a deep layer of cervical fissure. This muscle is an important muscle. It's the scalenus anterior. Scalenus medius, scalenus posterior, and levator scapularis. Okay, this nervous plexus is cervical plexus. It's formed from C1 to C4. This one C1, then C2, C3, C4. Their anterior branches form this cervical plexus. These are cutaneous branches of this cervical plexus. This is the great auricular nerve. This is a lesser occipital nerve, transverse cervical nerve, and supraclavicular nerve. This branch is a very important branch. This is a prenic nerve, not cutaneous nerve. Prenic, go to diaphragm. It's from cervical plexus, then anterior to this muscle. Here, notice this prenic nerve behind the subclavian vein. Okay, the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So where is this cervical plexus? It's located at the deep to the middle part of sternocleidomastoid. And this cervical plexus is on the surface of scalenus anterior and levator scapularis. Okay, here, this plexus deep to the middle part of sternocleidomastoid, anterior to these two muscles. This scalenus anterior, it insert between this muscle and middle. Okay, between the scalenus anterior and the scalenus medius and the first rib, look at this fissure. This is the scalene fissure. Scalene fissure. Inside the fissure, the brachial plexus and subclavian artery. This scalenus anterior insert from the upper surface of the first rib. In front of this muscle is subclavian vein. So this vein is not in that fissure. Posterior to this fissure, this muscle is subclavian artery, and this muscle. Separate the structures of this space. When separate these structures, don't damage this one. This is a cupular of pleural. Now cut the scalenus anterior. Look at this one is the cupular of the pleural. It's very high, go to the root of neck. Share the internal jugular vein. Look at this subclavian artery. This artery is divided into 3 parts. This part is the first part. Now, it's medial to the scalenus anterior. Then here is the second part. It's deep to this muscle. Second part. This part is the third part. It's lateral to this muscle. So this artery is divided into 3 parts by this scalenus anterior. Put it upward, then we will look for these branches of subclavian artery. This branch, and this branch, 1, 2, 3, they are branches from the first part. Now this is the vertebral artery, go to the brain. Internal thoracic artery, cervical trunk. This is the second part. Costal cervical trunk. Then other arteries from here. Supraclavicular artery. The cervical trunk. Some branches, this is a large branch, go to the thyroid gland. Inferior thyroid artery from this trunk. Inferior thyroid artery passes across this recurrent laryngeal nerve. And the other branches, this is a superficial cervical artery, deep cervical artery from this trunk. Now look at between this artery and the scalenus anterior, look at this phrenic nerve. This is phrenic nerve. Weger's nerve, cervical sympathetic trunk. Notice the 3 nerves, their relationship. Phrenic nerve most laterally, Weger's nerve medially. Between them, cervical sympathetic trunk, 3 long nerves. And this trunk is the deepest. Here, there's a triangle. The triangle of vertebral artery is formed by this anterior border of scalenus anterior, subclavian artery, and this one is the longus colli. Longus colli, it is a deep muscle of neck, subclavian artery. Okay, the main content of this triangle is the vertebral artery. Triangle of vertebral artery. And deep to it, also vertebral vein, vertebral artery, vertebral vein, and some ganglions, middle cervical ganglion, inferior cervical ganglion, inferior cervical ganglion. This is the contents of that triangle. Now, the internal jugular vein and subclavian vein, they join together to form the brachiocephalic vein. And deep to it, Look at this is a tributary. This is a vertebral vein to the brachiocephalic vein. This is the tributaries of brachiocephalic vein. The first is vertebral vein. Another tributary is the inferior thyroid vein. Here, let's dissect the brachial plexus. Brachial plexus is formed from C5 to T1. C5, C6, C. Now these two, C5 and C6 together, is a trunk, upper trunk or superior trunk of brachial plexus. There will be three trunks, superior, middle, and inferior trunks. C7 continuous to middle trunk. C8 and T1 drawn together is an inferior trunk. Now, each trunk is divided into two divisions, anterior and posterior divisions. Anterior division, posterior division of the upper trunk. Middle trunk, anterior division, posterior division. Inferior trunk, anterior division, and posterior division. Then lower these divisions fuse join anastomos again into three chords. Look at that one is the lateral chord. This one is the medial chord, and lower posteriorly, this is posterior trunk. Posterior chord is formed by the three posterior divisions. Posterior chord, three chords: lateral, medial, and posterior. These are some branches of the brachial plexus. That one is the supraclavicular nerve. That one is the long thoracic nerve, supply the anterior serratus. Here is the dorsal thoracic nerve. At the upper border of the clavicle. Look at this cupula of pleura. The uppermost point of cupula pleura, where is it, is about 2.5 centimeters above the medial 1/3 of clavicle. Remove the clavicle. Now look at the relationship of this pleura, cupula of pleura. Anteriorly, there is a subclavian artery, and this muscle, scalenus anterior. Medially, look at there is this trunk, brachiocephalic trunk and brachiocephalic vein medially. large artery and large vein. Laterally, there is brachial plexus. And these muscles. So the block of the brachial plexus to protect the cupula of Gloria. Now next, summary. The scalenus anterior, this muscle is a very important mark in this lateral region of neck. Anteriorly, in front of it, look at this nerve, prenic nerve. This is upper part. And internal jugular vein, carotid sheath, including the internal jugular vein, common carotid artery, and vagus nerve. This is anteriorly of upper part. Anteriorly lower part is subclavian vein. Posteriorly, the second part of subclavian artery and the beginning of the brachial plexus and the cupula of Gloria. Medially, the first part of subclavian artery. Vertebral artery. Thoracic trunk. Internal thoracic artery. This is branches from the first part of this subclavian artery. Vagus nerve. Cervical sympathetic trunk. And some duct, lymphatic duct. Laterally is the middle part of the brachial plexus and the third part of subclavian artery and the beginning of the subclavian vein. This is the relations of this muscle. The left side, this muscle, scalenus anterior. Medial to it, notice this thoracic duct. So the surgery of the left root of neck protect this duct.